Later today, we are going to see a hockey game between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, when it comes to this video topic, I wanted to talk about a guy on Chicago that is probably going to get traded soon, because everybody in Chicago is probably going to get traded soon, and this guy is definitely a part of that picture. The reason this is an interesting topic is because he used to be a Columbus Blue Jacket, and a recent media interview with the man himself went out there and, yeah, he threw a lot of shade at Sebas. So let's talk today about Ty Domi's son, Max Domi, and his overall profile, what happened last year, what happened the previous few years, as well as what's happening now, and of course, go over the comment he made throwing massive shade at Columbus as well. Now, for those who are unaware, Max Domi was a former first-round pick by the Arizona Coyotes, or the Phoenix Coyotes, excuse me, back in 2013. He had played over there, he got sent over to Montreal, he was really good in Montreal, posting up 72 points in an 82-game campaign, before getting sent over to Columbus in the Josh Anderson trade. He had spent 2 seasons as a member of the Blue Jackets, acquiring 56 total points in roughly 100 total games. So, not the best player in the world, but he was a guy that, as a former Canadian, there were so many people on social media and in the regular media as well keeping up with Max Domi and what he was doing. Oh, was he scoring a lot of points? Oh, was he getting involved in the play? Oh, was he playing well? Oh, was he getting scratched? Long story short, the stint that Domi had with Columbus was not really all too great. I mean, the guy had a really tumultuous relationship with the coach, John Tortorella, and there were a lot of fourth-line shifts out there. We made a lot of videos as well, going over the progression of Domi from a former Columbus top trade chip to what was inevitably a bottom 6 player. But after getting sent over to Carolina at the trade deadline last season, he had 7 points in 9 games, was also kind of pivotal for them in their playoff run, and then he became a free agent. He had signed a 1-year deal with the Chicago Blackhawks, making $3 million on the dot, and so far he's got 21 points in 31 games played. Should he finish out the rest of the year with the current pace he is at, he's on pace for 55 total points, which is interesting because that would be the same amount of points that he had with Columbus in 2 seasons he spent over there. It's also kind of interesting to note the parallel between both of these teams in the standings, as both Columbus and Chicago are not doing all too well, despite the fact that the Blue Jackets acquired Johnny Gaudreau in the offseason, and we all thought that they would be a very much improved team because of it. So now we go over onto what Domi said yesterday to the media. This is what he said when talking about the Christmas break. "I'm pretty excited, actually. My whole family is here. I was in Columbus for 2 years, so I didn't get too many visitors. All of a sudden, I'm in a nice city, so my whole family wants to come. I don't know if it's me or the city." Now, all Ohio jokes aside, I wanted to talk about Twitter for a second, because if you're not on Twitter, Elon and his crew implemented a new little thing on tweets that you can see: views. You can now see, alongside of the likes and the retweets, how many times a tweet had shown up on the smartphone or computer or tablet screen of somebody else online. This tweet of Max Domi and the shade that he threw on Columbus was viewed 967,000 times at the time of recording this audio, and by the time this video is uploaded, it's probably going to be even more. This tweet was viewed 1,000,000 times, essentially, and a lot of people were going out there and talking about it because, hey, Max Domi is pretty much calling out his old city. Now, for what it's worth, Mark Lazarus also writes in the tweet after, "Connor Murphy and Jack Johnson love them some Columbus," and also some satirical dialogue saying, "Hockey players are so boring. Why don't they ever show any personality like other athletes do? Hockey player has fun and cracks a joke. How dare he? I'm mad now. Argle bargle." And, yeah, these were also viewed 80,000 times each because Twitter. But either way, when it comes to Columbus, firstly, just going out there and talking about the semantics of it, yeah, I don't know if it really was because it was necessarily Columbus that people didn't visit you, Domi. Maybe because your family is from Canada, and, yeah, the past 2 years we had a pandemic, so not too easy for folks to go out there and visit now, isn't it? But at the same time, of course, the Columbus thing in and of itself was also kind of funny to note, mostly because, as we had talked about earlier in the video, Max Domi and his relationship with the Blue Jackets was really not all too great in the first place. Sure, they gave him the contract that he wanted. That was part of the reason why Montreal even traded Domi away in the first place, and it's why they were so willing to get Josh Anderson in return, whom they gave a long-term contract extension to. Domi did not want that long-term security, which is why he got sent over to Columbus, who are willing to sign into a short-term deal. It's just, the deal really didn't pay off too much because the guy was not amazing in Columbus. The deployment, the positioning, the opportunities, it was not really there for him. And so, going over to a team like Chicago that has all the opportunities in the world and that really is just trying to give a big stage to a lot of their guys, because hey, if Patrick Kane can score a hat-trick every night, that means we get more when we inevitably trade him away. Same thing with Athanasiou, same thing with Domi, because there's a chance here Domi not only A, has an opportunity to play for a team that could use him, but B, if he gets traded to a cup contender by the time the trade deadline rolls around, all of a sudden he's in the postseason again, and he has a legit chance at making an impact. Not to mention, for the Chicago Blackhawks, of course, you sign a guy for free in free agency, you give him $3 million for 1 year, he plays well in your team, and you trade him away for draft picks and futures. That's a pretty big win for what you're trying to do as well. So ultimately, it's a win-win-win situation, I guess, because whatever team that would acquire Domi would be looking to use him in their playoff run. And also, for Domi himself, I mean, if he plays really well, like he continues playing as well as he has been so far, he could get a lot more money next season than just 1 year, $3 million. Now, I'm not sure what exactly the final count is going to be if he goes out there and finishes off the year with, let's say, 50 points in 82 games played, but it's certainly a good stepping stone after rebounding from 2 bad Columbus years, wherein he is now sort of making fun of because he's saying in the media that Columbus is not a desirable city to go ahead and visit. Now, I doubt that. Do I? I mean, Ohio, right? I'm joking. Nobody get mad at me in the comments. But at the end of the day, I did think it was funny how Max Domi made these comments. I just thought it was a pretty interesting video topic to go out there and make. Also with the fact that he is having a legitimately good year with Chicago, it's just, now we gotta see what's next, right? He goes to a playoff team, he plays in the playoffs, he maybe makes the finals, maybe wins a cup, maybe that gives him a lot more extra value in the free agent market for next season. And ultimately, Chicago's ended up walking away happy because they got draft picks and futures. Now, realistically, I'm not too sure how much Domi would cost for a team to go out there and trade for him, but it shouldn't be too much, right? I mean, $3 million, 50% retained, that's 1.5 against the cap. If a team like Toronto, for example, called and wanted a nice middle six caliber forward with some bite that happens to be related to Ty Domi, then, I mean, maybe a second-round pick and a prospect gets it done? Maybe 2/3 and a prospect, maybe a first, I'm not sure. But you can let me know in the comments all your thoughts about Max Domi and whether or not he is good enough to get traded for a package like that at the deadline. Talk in the comments what do you think about his performance this season and how it contrasts with that of his 2 Columbus years. And if you're a Blue Jackets fan, then how do you feel about the comments he made to the media? I think it's a nice little jab. I don't really think it's too personal, but at the same time, I could totally understand why somebody's like, wait a minute, come on. Max, you aren't even that great here in Columbus. Why you gotta go out there and trash the city like that? But either way, I'm sure Columbus is a beautiful place, or so I've heard from people who live there. Talk in the comments your thoughts about Domi, his Blue Jackets tenure, the Blackhawks stint right now, the trade, the success, the season, as well as the future. Not to mention the game that's going to occur today between these two teams, because that is going to be very fun to watch. I hope you enjoyed this video, Trolls 99, and bye.